Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a packed O'Rourke's Public House for this week's edition of the Brian Kelly Radio Show. You have groupies.
No, those are our ambassadors.
Yes.
And they do a terrific job. It's great to see them.
And they
There's
give
my best drivers out here, too.
They give this a different atmosphere. You're like a rock star when you walked in today.
No, they're well prepped.
Yeah. But we have a full house of Kelly children tonight for the first time this season.
I haven't seen them all week, so it's great to see them. So they've been under their best behavior. Grandma and Grandpa are watching them this week. Mom is out in Arizona. She took a couple extra days of R&R and I think mental health days out in Arizona. So
she's scouting, right?
She's scouting. She's scouting the Sun Devils for us.
I think the kids came for the free food, actually.
It's not so much free. In other words,
yes,
it's going to come back to me later.
Yes, I understand that. How about the hairstyle on your oldest son?
Well, you know, he plays for Penn, and they're in the quarterfinals of the playoffs, and so the regional playoffs. And so one of the things on the team is that they got mohawks, and I was a little reticent about the full mohawk, so we gave him the modified mohawk.
Modified mohawk. I was wondering what that was.
So they play Maryville this weekend. So.
Always a big game. Good luck.
Yep.
All right. Well, we want to thank everybody for coming out on this lovely Notre Dame South Bend night, and that segues us into weather. And certainly a lot of people concerned. Last forecast I saw, high temperature in Tempe, 87 on Saturday. But the fact that you wanted to go outside today and couldn't kind of indicates to me you're not all that worried about the weather.
Well, yeah, I think we've done a great job, you know, in terms of hydrating all week. Our guys have done a great job since Monday. Electrolytes, water, hydration. You know, I really, there's no way to prepare for 85 degrees, but it is very little humidity. It's about 14% humidity. We're not used to that here. We usually get somewhere in the 90% humidity range. So I think we'll be fine. Certainly we'll be hot, but we'll be well prepared for it, and it won't change the outcome of the game, that's for certain.
Now, one of your tasks this week was to figure out how to plug people into Joe Schmidt's position. Before we get to that process, and I know it went well, just talk a little bit more as you went through the process, how much it came as much to the fore you already knew, but what Joe Schmidt really had evolved into in terms of his importance on the team.
Well, I think everybody starts with, you know, his leadership ability, and it's certainly a great leader, but you know, he's a good player, too. I mean, a good tackler, smart, always in the right place, and made himself into, you know, arguably, you know, one of our best players on defense. So, you know, to do that, you know, given the fact that, you know, he came to our program without a scholarship says so much about his football ability, too. So, yes, he is a good leader. Yes, he's smart, but he's a really good football player, too, and I think that sometimes doesn't get talked about enough because you can't just be a smart player and get by at this level. You know, this isn't Division II football. I mean, this is the big time, and he does it because he's a really good football player, too.
And he had numerous Division I scholarship offers, and I think that gets lost. When every new network does it, it's a new story for them. So every week the nation sees the Joe Schmidt walk-on story. Well, he earned a scholarship before last season, and he came here more as a preferred walk-on, and you accepted him because you expected him to play a role. Maybe not as big as he's playing now, but you knew coming in this was a guy that was going to help you on the field.
Oh, without question. He had, you know, a number of Pac-12 offers, and, you know, I knew he was he had the right idea about Notre Dame. He always wanted to go to Notre Dame, but to have a scholarship offer coming out of college, it's hard to turn down a scholarship offer and still go to your dream school. But he had such a great perspective of it, and he'll probably laugh when I tell this story. But, you know, during the recruiting, you know, a lot of people said, hey, you're just going to be a tackling dummy if you go to Notre Dame. If you're a walk-on, they don't treat you the right way. You know, they told all these stories, and hey, come to Arizona or come to Arizona State or come to Cal or come to UCLA, come to any of these great schools. There's sun, there's beautiful girls. The girls will chase you for 4 years. And you know what Joe said? He goes, you know what? That might be fine, but I'm going to go to Notre Dame, and I'm going to get my degree, and I'll have plenty of girls chase me for the rest of my life. I said, you know what?
Well, not only that, let's look at your ambassadors. There are plenty of beautiful
There's
girls
plenty of beautiful
right here,
girls that he could,
at Notre Dame as well. Yes.
He could have went that route too. There's no
Yeah.
question. But he went the route of, you know what, that's fine. I'm not going to college for those reasons. And if you're using that as the reason why I should go to your school, it's even a better reason for me to go to Notre Dame.
Now, Joe had successful surgery this week, a 6-month recovery period, so he can't play for you anymore this year. And I know on Tuesday you thought you might have to experiment a little bit, but a young man by the name of Niles Morgan had a pretty good week.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Niles is a true freshman. He joins a number of true freshmen that have already gotten starting opportunities for us. Drew Tranquil, Andrew Trombetti, Greer Martini has started as a true freshman for us. So, you know, we've had a number of true freshmen start for us. This is another one. So Niles will get a start for us. You know, he's been committed. He's been on top of things. And he's excited and confident in his ability to go out there and help our football team.
And again, people, you talked about, there's no doubt about his physical abilities, and he may be slightly ahead of Joe Schmidt in that area, but it's about the mental aspect of making the calls. And this has nothing to do with a young man's intelligence or lack thereof. This is complicated, and to have a freshman have to step in and do that is difficult. But he really proved to you this week that he has a great handle not only on the X's and O's, but he has the confidence, and that's important too. He's not going to hesitate. He has the confidence to make the calls.
Well, I think that's true. I think, you know, when you're confident in your ability, and again, he's going to make some mistakes here. I mean, here's a true freshman playing for the first time. I mean, he's going to miss some things. But I think when you have confidence in your ability and you believe that you can get the job done, that's going to make up for a lot of mistakes. And, you know, the other thing is he's got great athletic ability. So one of his traits is that he's a very gifted athlete. So maybe he makes a couple of mistakes and he can make up for them because of his athletic ability.
We have a jam-packed show for you tonight. The entire starting offensive line will be here. We have lots of questions from our audience, so we're going to take our first break and come back with some questions for Coach Kelly right after this timeout. It is the Brian Kelly Radio Show live from O'Rourke's Public House, presented by TireRack.com. Ooh, I love the cheering section. You know, the Fighting Irish are ranked 8th in the country by everybody but the playoff selection committee after getting off to an impressive 7-1 start. Now, if you would like to root on the Irish in person but don't have tickets yet, there are still some limited ticket availability. There is still some limited ticket availability for the Louisville game on November 22nd through the Notre Dame ticket office. Now, these tickets are going fast. For more information, log on to UND.com/tickets. Give the ticket office a call at 574-631-7356 or stop by the ticket office in the Purcell Pavilion lobby from 8:30 until 5 Monday through Friday. Questions from our audience. Coach Landon from South Bend is here. Coach, are there any key differences in preparing your team for a mid-afternoon road game versus a road game at night?
Well, on Saturday nights, we work out our team, so we don't work out the team. So the routine is a little bit different, but certainly we don't do that for home games either. So, no, you just change the routine up a little bit, so no major differences.
And I know all the night games, and you talked about that earlier this year, have been tough on the team, but now that you're in that rhythm, I know coaches don't like change, and I'm not sure players like change either.
No, I would have preferred to play at night, but, you know, I think given the schedule and the games that are being played, they wanted to make sure that they had great games all the day. You know, so you're starting, you know, with a noon game, then a 1:30, a 3:30, and an 8 o'clock. So, you know, they just space out all the games all day.
Craig Forsyth here once again from Mishawaka. Coach, who is the greatest threat to Notre Dame's success on offense on the Arizona defense, and why are they a threat?
Probably, I would say Foster, the running back. But, you know, the ball is in Kelly's hands, you know. So, you know, I'd say those two guys, you know, in particular. I think the running game is the one that, you know, concerns you the most because it sets up everything else that they do. They must run the football. It's part of what they do. If they have a hard time running the football, teams have been able to keep the points down against them.
And how about flipping that? How about the Arizona State defense against your offense?
Well, it's really about negative plays. And when they've been able to get negative plays, they have really, you know, changed the game. Early in the season, they weren't able to generate negative plays. They gave up 500 yards or more in 3 consecutive games. Since their bye week, which happened in the middle of the season, they really changed the way they play defensively and have given teams fits, and it's the negative plays that have changed things for them.
Carol Barber has a travel question. Give you a chance to talk about how you get in and out of road games. Will the team be in Arizona long enough to enjoy some of the warm weather?
No, we'll get in tomorrow around 2:30, go to the hotel. They'll rest up for a couple hours. We'll go to the stadium, get the logistics of the stadium down, just to get a feel for the locker room, in and out of the stadium, come back to the hotel. We'll eat, meetings, and then they're in their rooms. We'll get up in the morning, breakfast, and off to the stadium. So just enough time to enjoy the hotel rooms, and that's it.
Kevin's here from Granger. Really enjoyed your interview, Coach, on the Dan Patrick Show. Of course, you know, his best interviews are always on this show.
Yes.
You know that. He saves the best for this show.
Thank you.
Chuck Sossman's here from Granger. We've already talked about the key players, Chuck. We appreciate your question. I know you're always here on the offense and defense for Arizona State. Michael Linich is here from South Bend. What are Everett Golson's plans for next year? That's really a question that should be directed at Everett, but I think all indications are his intention would be to come back.
Yeah, I haven't really talked to him about next year. I think, he's in the process, obviously, of trying to develop, as a quarterback this year. So, again, I think at the end of the year we'll have a sit down and discuss what happens next year. But we're really just focused on this year right now.
And that's part of your normal process. When the regular season is over,
yeah,
you'll have those discussions with all the upperclassmen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's, you want to assess everybody's opportunities as they move forward, what their academic goals are, where they are as it relates to, the potential for the NFL. But we really don't talk about those during the season. We're focused on, the job at hand, and then we'll sit down at the end of the year.
But we also got an email question. Everett does have another year of eligibility.
Yes.
Some people confused about that.
No, he's got another year.
Nathan Sayon from South Bend proves that folks do read what the writers write. Coach, I hate to be the burden of bad news. You aren't the bearer of bad news. But the Irish are 2-5 in games following the Navy game, the last 7. What do the Irish have to do this week to make that 2-3?
Well, I don't know what my record is against Navy after we play Navy. I
think it's right around 500.
500, yeah, because I haven't been here 7 years, so it really doesn't apply to me. I think it's, statistically, it really doesn't have any bearing. You know what I mean? I don't think there's anything to read into it. You play Navy, and then you have your next game. I mean, I think there's been some years that USC was the next game, and USC was a better team, 1 year. So there's nothing that you would take from the Navy game to the next week and say, well, that's why we didn't play well. You transition to the next game. So I really think that we're just looking into something that's not there.
If anything, and again, the coaching staff didn't look at it at all. You actually said you had never really looked at that before. The media kind of came up with it. You actually see a relief from the team getting back to playing more conventional football, not necessarily some kind of hangover from playing.
Yeah, and we stay sharp during the week. Like during Navy week, we ran our normal coverages defensively. It doesn't change anything that we do offensively. Should have no bearing on what we do offensively. If it has any effect, it's on our defense. And we used periods last week against Navy to run our conventional defense, so we would be prepared for the transition.
And there's people always worried about cut blocks, chop blocks. Now, Joe Schmidt didn't get injured in one of those. He got rolled.
Yeah.
Did you get any injuries based on just the way that Navy legally plays the game?
No, I think the only injuries were to our pride.
We have one more question for this segment because some rather handsome young men have entered the building. The starting offensive line for Notre Dame, Jack from McLean, Virginia.
I think that might be the first time that they've ever, as a group, been referred to as a handsome group of men.
Well, see, Jack from McLean, Virginia.
I don't know how they're going to take that either.
Jack, I think your question's answered. Jack's question was, no relation to me, Coach Kelly, which one of these guys do you think is the best looking?
I think I'd leave that up to Ronnie to decide. Ronnie will tell you. Ronnie, who's the best looking of the group? Steve Elmer. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to see them all up here right after this timeout, and you guys can decide for yourself. It's the Brian Kelly Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House, presented by TireRack.com. Well, folks, we have a really big show tonight. Here is the entire Notre Dame football team starting offensive line. So these guys, they try to be anonymous. They do their jobs. The more anonymous they are, the better they've done their jobs. But, guys, raise your hand when I say your name. I know who you are, but it'd be easier for you guys to raise it so the crowd knows who you are. Now, Ronnie Stanley. Captain Nick Martin.
How you doing?
Matt Hegarty. Steve Elmer. Christian Lombard. I don't know, the ambassadors cheered louder for some of the linemen. You're going to have to figure out what was going on there, right there. We got lots of audience questions. Usually I ask them all kinds of questions, but you guys have 5 questions for them. And with 5 guys, we're going to get right to it. This is from Landon in South Bend for the offensive line. What is your guys' typical pregame meal and routine? Who wants to touch that?
Well, at least on Friday night, I guess you'd call it a pregame meal. We usually have a eat-off between Christian Lombard and Steve Elmer over here. I think Elmer's 2-1 right now. Lombard's probably down 1.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct.
Steve thinks he can eat more than me, but realistically, I hold him in the prime rib. Hold him down.
Is that the normal fare for the eat-off is prime rib?
Prime rib.
I'm more of a sides man myself.
About 4 slices.
So how much has the cow population diminished, do you think, based on your competitions?
It's diminished
quite a bit.
lot, yeah.
Okay. Bill is here from Granger. What was the most difficult adjustment you had to make with the changes of positions? And without going into the specifics, Ronnie's the only guy that has been in the same position for the entire season. How difficult was the transition?
It's one of the things Coach Easton does a great job of teaching technique. So fundamentally, we were ready to switch. I think the biggest thing was just getting used to playing next to a different guy. Because that was one thing that was different was no one actually played right next to that person.
Yeah, same technique like Nick said, but just assignments and getting used to different guys was the big thing.
This one's for Nick from Connor Edmonds of South Bend. What are your memories of your senior state championship game?
I would say blowing out South Bend St. Joe.
Connor, did Connor go to St. Joe, or is Connor a buddy of yours? You smile. You just like the topic.
I just like the topic.
Yeah, well, you ought to like the talk. Mike from Granger's also here. Can all of you hear the signals called by the center? And if not, how do you know your responsibility? So why don't you go into what you guys are listening to, because you're listening to the quarterback too. So what is your process for all members of the line? You haven't talked at all yet, Ronnie.
Yeah, okay.
So you start with this.
I'll
What is your way outside there on the left tackle side? What is your process in terms of when you get to the line? Who are you listening to, and what are you looking for?
So first, I'm listening to the quarterback and trying to hear what he says. If I don't hear, I'll look to my guard, and I'll get confirmation from him for the play. And we have to spread the play out throughout the whole line, make sure everyone knows what they're doing, and everyone's on the same page.
Now, we actually have 2 centers here. You started the season at center. You're the center now. What are your responsibilities?
Definitely keeping everybody on the same page, and that's one thing that's great about having Nick at guard now is he's been there, so he understands the troubles, with different cadences and things like that, keeping everybody doing that, so it's kind of like having 2 centers on the line.
All right, I've got a few questions for everybody. First of all, I don't know if you heard it or not, but Aaron Taylor, Notre Dame All-American offensive lineman, was the analyst on the national broadcast of the Navy game, and he's had a lot of high praise for you in terms of what you're doing now and your potential. What does it mean to you and a former Notre Dame great? I don't know if you had a chance to talk to Aaron or not. What does it mean, though, when he goes public with praise for you?
Well, first of all, I have had the pleasure of meeting Aaron Taylor and talking to him and learning about his history as an offensive lineman and just how he was so good technically and physically as well, and just being an all-around player. And it's definitely a huge compliment for him to say some positive things about me, and definitely going to help me move forward and be a better player and just keep on getting better.
Folks, you may not know this, but Nick and his brother Zach, who's now doing a heck of a job for the Dallas Cowboys, they are only the second pair of brothers to serve as team captains for the Notre Dame football team. The other pair, Bob and Mike Golick. That's really quite a distinction for your family.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. I think it's just one of those things that you don't really get to appreciate probably in the moment, but I think later in life we'll really kind of see how special it is.
Now, Matt is delighted to be back and starting. Some of you know his story, some of you don't. But during the 2012 season in November, he had a minor stroke, and they found 2 holes in his heart. And at that time, I know you're worried about just the rest of your life, but you never gave up. That not only were you going to be fine, but you were going to come back, and now you are back and starting for the Notre Dame football team. That's just a tremendous accomplishment.
I appreciate it, definitely.
All right, Hayes.
What has it been like for you, though? I mean, was there ever a point where you thought, I may not be able to play football again, or was there a point where initially you didn't care, you just wanted to get healthy?
I mean, it was always kind of in the back of my mind that, that was what I wanted to do was come back and play. And, and I told the doctors that from the get-go. And, they worked with me a lot. And, when we knew that it was a possibility, then, I just kind of locked onto that and kept that in the back of my mind through everything.
Now, Steve Elmer, not only was he an early enrollee, but he was the first commit in the recruiting class back in 2012. And so you were kind of the quarterback, player-wise, of that class. Why were you so sure so early, and what role did you take in terms of talking to the other guys that they were offering and convincing them to join you in that class?
Well, I was always a big Notre Dame fan, and I kind of knew from the get-go when I started seeing that I might have a chance to play in college that's the ultimate goal. And as the process kind of went on, I had other offers, and I was just kind of ruling them out as I took my visits to make sure I was making the correct decision. Notre Dame's a special place with the kind of community and education and the faith aspect of it too is just so unique. But with regard to recruiting, just talking to the guys is really all I really did was just talk to guys that are looking at the school and just kind of make them feel comfortable. Share your story and why you chose Notre Dame and then just kind of help them along.
Now, Christian's kind of the old guy up here right now, and it's not just because this is his 5th year, but he's already graduated. He has his degree in management consulting from the Mendoza College of Business, the #1 undergraduate business school in the country. So congratulations for that.
Lombard. Okay, Lombard.
And you also battled and fought throughout your career, and you will end your career as a starter. I know that's everybody's goal. What does your experience allow you to do with the rest of your line? Because there's a lot of leaders on this line. I know that. How do you see your role as the guy, the oldest guy, the guy that's been here the longest?
I just, if any of these guys have questions about anything, I'm just trying to be there for them. What's it going to be like in certain atmospheres, stuff like that, plays, stuff like that. I'm just, trying to be anything I can do for them. I'm here for, trying to help.
I've met a number of the parents, especially the dads. And the dads I've met, I haven't met all your dads, but they all seem to be pretty intense. Your dad's been coming up to me since your freshman year. What does it mean to your families that you are playing football here at Notre Dame and getting this great education? I mean, just come right down the line. Start with you, Christian.
Yeah, obviously my dad, he's a huge fan of Notre Dame and what we're doing, so it means the world to him. He makes it out. He'll be out in Arizona. My mom, too, she'll be watching from home, so they just think the world of it and are, obviously proud.
Steve?
Well, my whole family, we live pretty close. Midland's only about 3.5 hours away, so my family makes it to all the home games and most of the away games, and they love it. They're super happy I'm here. They love Notre Dame, and they give me a lot of support.
Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I was the first person to come to Notre Dame for my family, so it's been kind of a cool thing for them to kind of rally around, and it's been a great experience, I think, for everybody.
Nick, you've been coming here forever.
Yeah, no, I have been. And, my parents, they try to say they don't care if I played college football, but my dad played and my mom was a student trainer for football, and they love it. So there's no doubt, especially here at Notre Dame, it's a special place.
Ronnie?
Yeah, I grew up in the Southwest, so I wasn't really a big Notre Dame fan growing up. But when I took my visit here, me and my mom, we both thought it was a very special place, and we both had this sort of same feeling of comfort and just the right fit, and that was just something that stuck with us, and just trusting our gut feeling to come here was pretty much the main reason, and it's paid off so far.
So it's a lot of hard work, but that feeling, it's expanding and even growing the longer that you're here?
Yeah, that feeling really hasn't left. I still feel the same amount of comfortability with the people here and the community around me.
Well, folks, we have not forgotten. When we come back, this very well-spoken group of offensive linemen will take the 60-second drill. After this timeout, this is the Brian Kelly Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House, brought to you by TireRack.com. Welcome back to the Brian Kelly Radio Show. Now, Ronnie Stanley has accurately pointed out to me that this is only supposed to be 60 seconds is the 60-second drill. Well, on the TV show, it's 60 seconds. So I will probably change it on the radio show to the endless drill or the 5-minute drill. But anyway, the first question goes to Ronnie. Now, we're going to try to just point them at one player except for a couple of the questions at the end. But anybody can jump in. But, Ronnie, your favorite all-time movie?
I'm going to have to go with Inception.
No, it's not bad.
Yep.
No objections from this side? Okay. Favorite TV show, Nick?
Sopranos.
Ooh, I like that one.
I'm going to say The Wire.
The Wire. Okay.
Hipster.
Any Arrested Development fans
Hipster.
out there?
No, Steve.
No,
No, sorry,
Steve.
Steve.
Steve's Parks and Recreation.
Parks and
What we're talking about.
We already heard about training table meal the night before, the pregame meal. How about favorite breakfast meal, Matt?
I'd have to go with country fried steak skillet.
Yeah, I agree.
There we go.
All right, Steve, as one of the competitors in the prime rib eat-off, what is your favorite food, period? If you could eat anything you wanted at a meal, what would you choose?
I'd have to say tomato soup and grilled cheese.
Ooh, I like that one.
That's
That's a
two.
good one,
That's
especially
two.
tonight.
Homie.
Got to pick one.
Oh,
Okay.
violated the rules.
Combo.
All right, that's a meal. That's right. Favorite. Okay, so we'll say grilled cheese.
Wow.
Christian, Lyman, you guys don't know. Well, you certainly the Gob, which I still don't understand. You've explained it to me, your brother. I still don't understand it. Best nickname on the team and who has it?
Oh, God. Probably me.
Lumbini.
Probably me. Yeah,
And yours is?
guys.
Lombard's anything that rhymes with
Anything that
Lombard.
rhymes with Lombard, you can
There's a
put it in.
litany of nicknames.
Yeah, we got Lamborghini.
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 That's a brand new one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's just off the top of the dome.
Now, there is, before I do the next question, there's somebody that I needed to talk about that I didn't, but I know he's close to all you guys. Just talk to me a little bit, and anybody can jump in, maybe Nick or Christian, but Harry Hestand and what he means to you guys as your coach on the line.
I'm gonna take this. Yeah, he's just he pushes us to our limits, and at the end of the day, he'll give you a big bear hug and show love for us. So he's just one of those guys that expects the most out of us, and he truly shows that he cares, and we know that and respect him for that.
Yeah, I would say that's the biggest thing. I mean, there's no doubt he gets after us, but at the end of the day, he doesn't mean he cares and wants to bring out the best in us, and we know that, and he knows that. And, all he wants to do is coach O-line.
So we have a question in the drill about Coach Hestand. One thing you always hear from Coach Hestand in practice
Oh, wow.
that you can say in front
Yeah,
of
I'm trying to think of something
an
right
audience.
now. Bring your knees.
That's what I was going to say.
That's
Soft. Head back, hands on.
soft. Soft is, was it a pillow? It's called?
Yeah.
New turf in the stadium for an offensive lineman. What do you think, Nick? Do you like it?
Yeah, I think it's great. There's no doubt. Already saw some this year with the weather. Stanford at rain, huge difference.
Matt, toughest player to block on the team?
I have to go with Jalen Smith. He's about as elusive as they come.
You guys y'all agree with that?
Or Sheldon Day.
Yeah.
On the line, definitely Sheldon Day.
Now, hardest hitter on the team. That'll go to Steve first.
I'll just say Andrew Trombetti.
Okay.
Once he gets going,
I'm a Jarrett Grace guy.
Yeah.
Jarrett Grace.
Yeah.
Jarrett Grace, Ben Council, old school.
Yeah.
Jarrett's still working hard to get back from that injury. All right, here are the fun ones. Best singer on the team, Christian.
Go with Everett.
Everett?
Wilson, yeah.
John Montellis.
All right.
Oh, he's got that opera
He's got
style
a good
going.
opera
Yeah,
voice.
he can sing
Opera.
opera.
Yeah. Make you cry.
All right, back to you. Best dancer on the team.
Let's go with
Scott Daly.
Scott Daly.
Scott Daly, gotta give it to him.
Yeah, he does have some rhythm.
Best comedian on the team.
I hate to say it, but probably Chase Hounshell.
Yeah.
Chase Hounsell.
Agreed.
He reaches for it, but he
Yeah,
get
so
it.
he's a reacher, but he gets it done.
If there is one, Matt, this is always the toughest one. Best comedian on the coaching staff.
Ooh, on the coaching staff. That's tough.
And you can pass.
We might have to go with Hestand with that one.
All right.
He comes up with some pretty creative things. So
I am sure he does. Best dresser on the team, Steve.
I'm going to have to say Matthias.
All right, that's a popular
choice.
choice this year.
That's a good choice.
Kristen, you get the honor of worst dresser on the team.
Nick Martin, hands down.
Yeah, I saw that
down.
one. No question.
Hands down.
I embrace
No
it.
defense.
It's fine.
You embrace it.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right, player on the team most likely to become a football coach.
Let's go with TP, Tyler Plants.
Oh, yeah. I agree. That's a good one.
Hard-nosed.
Yeah, if he's not doing judo and headboard breaking or whatever.
Yeah.
This last one's for all you guys. We could start down, come this way, Christian. Best thing about playing for Notre Dame?
Being with the guys, being with these guys.
Yeah, I'd have to say the players on the team. It's just a great group of people.
Yeah, can't ask for a better group of guys to be hanging out with and spending all the time with.
I'm going to jump on the train of the people. You can't beat it.
I'm going to say game day. I think it's definitely an atmosphere and experience that a lot of people, even at other D1 schools, don't really get to experience. Top D1 schools aren't, they get a lot of crowds and whatever, but you don't really get the same feeling at other schools as you do at Notre Dame.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Notre Dame starting offensive line. We're back with more on the Brian Kelly Radio Show right after this timeout. We are back on the Brian Kelly Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House. And
unsolicited, too. It's just genuine love for the show.
That's right.
Yes. They just love this show. It's
I
crazy.
think that's their table now.
Wherever we go, all over the country, they follow us.
Yes. Including, you told a great story tonight. I'm going to have you relate. You were asked about hostile environments and getting your team to deal with it. And the only time that you can remember somebody being aware of somebody really riding you when you were on the sidelines coaching a Notre Dame game. It was a great story. So could you tell it again?
Well, it was 2012. We were 11-0. We were playing USC. Remember, we were 11-0, and we were playing USC. We were up by 12 points, and we had the ball. And I never listened to, what's being said and during the game, because there's a lot of things that are being said during the game directed at me. And so for some reason, it just caught my attention during this game against USC, going for an undefeated season. Somebody behind our bench is just riding me constantly the whole game. I mean, and it was bad. I mean, the language was about as foul as you can get. And we're 11-0. We're beating USC. And finally, it just hit me, and I said, I got to turn around. I never did it. And this will be my going into that game. It was like my 22nd year of being a head coach. Finally, I turned around and I looked, and it was a lady with a Notre Dame sweatshirt on. We're about to go 12-0 and beat USC, and she is grinding me the whole game because she didn't like the way we were playing. I was like, welcome to Notre Dame.
See, you can tell. You should tell that to Lou, because his common line is he's going to be buried at Notre Dame because the alumni buried him every week.
Yeah.
So that's.
It was one of those times, because I was asked the question today, are you worried about the atmosphere at Arizona State? And I'm like, look, when you experience what I experienced at USC, and it was your own fans, I don't listen to anybody anymore.
And from your players' perspective, too, with this young a team, there was some concern on your part and your coaching staff's part about the atmosphere at Florida State, and clearly your team handled it very, very well.
Yeah, they did. I think, having some guys that had been through the national championship game obviously helped. And then, quite frankly, we have some young guys that are very confident in their ability, and it really just, it was one of those things that they were looking forward to. And recruiting the right kind of guys that like that environment, that want to be in that stage.
That feed off it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because when I recruit, I tell a kid, listen, you're going to an on-Broadway play. I mean, this is on Broadway at Notre Dame. If you want the off-Broadway play, there's other schools for you, because you're under the bright lights at Notre Dame. And most of the kids that we have like that kind of environment. They want the bright lights.
Jerry Liss is here again. He's always here from South Bend. Coach, I noticed Greg Bryant did not play against Navy. Is he okay?
Yeah, he had a bit of an ankle. He wasn't 100%. Running backs, they got to be 100%. If they're not, firing and able to cut, you can't play him at 50, 60%. But he looks to be pretty good this week. He should be able to play.
So that exhausts all of our audience questions. Thank you very much. We're going to take our final break and come back and take a look at this game between the Irish and Arizona State. Welcome back to the Brian Kelly Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House. We, of course, want to welcome all of our affiliates. You can listen to the show live on WSBT 960 AM and 96.1 FM. You can watch the show both live and we post an archive of the video. So if you're listening and want to see just how handsome or not handsome the offensive linemen were, it'll be up by tomorrow. Also want to welcome our other affiliates who play the show throughout the weekend. WXNT CBS Sports Radio, 1430 in Indianapolis. WJRW News Talk 1340 in Grand Rapids. KVCE 1160 AM in Dallas-Fort Worth. And our new affiliate this year, KASR 92.7 FM in Conway, Little Rock, Arkansas. So we want to welcome all of our affiliates. This is where you want to be. One of your goals is to every year, as much as possible, be in contention for the playoff, and that's right where you are as you begin the month of November, really the second game of November, because last week was the first weekend.
Yeah, again, you want to play your best football in November, and if you've, obviously put your football team in the right frame physically and mentally, this is where you should play your best football. I think from an injury standpoint, we've done pretty well. We're a bit thin in certain areas, but we were, coming into the season. So I think we're playing pretty good on the offensive side of the ball. I think defensively, we got some guys that are going to have to step up and play their best. But I think if we do that, I think November can be a great month for us.
And it has already been a terrific season. This weekend is almost a playoff game of sorts. You're ranked ahead of Arizona State in the voting rankings of the coaches and the media. The committee has you one slot behind, 10-9. If one play goes differently in Florida State, that's over the waterfall now. You'd be in the playoff right now. But this, in a sense, is a playoff game.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're at that point now when you have 4 games left and you already have a loss, anybody with one loss is, certainly thinking about, how they can stay alive. And so we understand that. We've got to win out. We would have wanted to win out regardless if we were
undefeated or not.
Yeah. So, look, as coaches, we're not in that mindset of, this is, a playoff game. This is preparing our football team to play their very best. And if we play the way we're capable of playing, we're going to win on Saturday. If we don't, if we turn the football over, if we don't play the kind of defense, then we won't win. So I never really get caught up into big games. I've always coached about the preparation. And if you prepare the right way, you get what you deserve. And, that's really, kind of worked well in my career. And I think today was an example. We coached our guys really hard today, because it's going to make a big difference on Saturday. And that's where we do our work, is during the week of preparation. So when it gets to Saturday, we don't have any excuses.
And having watched you now for 5 seasons, you always seem to have 2 goals. You always want to win the next game. That's obvious. But you never lose sight of building the program. And when you look at this season right now with how young you were, it's a heck of a foundation, because I think this team, maybe not the coaching staff's expectations, but I do think you've exceeded many people's expectations across the country when they look at what you had to replace, who you lost for various reasons, and the fact that you continue to compete at a very high level. Now, people are taking shots at your schedule. You can't control what the other teams have done. But as you pointed out this year, I heard last night, and it stunned me, I should pay more attention, Mississippi State's played 5 either FCS or non-Big 5 teams on their schedule this year. The only non-Big 5 team you've played pretty good in Rice. They're leading the conference right now.
Yeah, they lead the conference, and they won the Conference USA. So, if there's one complaint that you would have, is that, those are glorified buys. Those guys don't have to play every week. We have to play every single week. And, we were a little thin. We lost some guys at the start of the season that were important players to us. We lost some guys that would make a difference to us, but we haven't complained about it. And then we have to play a lot of snaps. Our guys right now are getting close to 600-plus snaps compared to Mississippi's kids, where they're playing somewhere in the 400 range. That's over 200 more snaps. That's almost 3 more games we've played on us than Mississippi in terms of total snaps. So that's a lot of football. And if they factor in real games versus games that don't make really, in my opinion, the standard for how you count them, that's a big difference between the schedules. So be that as it may, it really doesn't matter to us. We're just going to play the games that we've scheduled. We think this weekend we got a great opponent, and we're excited about going out to the desert and playing Arizona State.
Great situation. Win out. You control your own destiny. Coach, always a pleasure. Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure.
That'll do it for the Brian Kelly Radio Show for this week. We're back next week at this time. Good luck to the Irish this weekend. Good night and go Irish.